Thinking about upgrading your home? Hello, I'm Philip Pantana. Whether you want a modern kitchen, a stunning bathroom, a sturdy deck, or even a brand new addition, our company, Perimeter Remodeling and Restoration, can make it happen. From quick interior repairs to full-scale renovations, homeowners trust us for expert craftsmanship and excellent service, always delivered with the care you deserve. Schedule your free consultation now at perimeterva.com. Call or text 434-515-2868.
This is Talk Local to Me from the Central Virginia Business Coalition. Streaming live each week on Media Squatch Plus and available on demand in the app or wherever you get your podcasts. Local stories, local business, local impact.
Hi, and welcome to Talk Local to Me. This is the podcast for business by business. So that's not our official tagline, but it's the one I like to use. So Heather is unable to join us today. She may pop in later, but she had a few things to take care of. So you guys are stuck with me today. Good news. You're going to love the show. So we've also got Jesse Reynolds with us today. I asked him right before we went on there, like, are we pretending you're not here today or are you actually here? So he told me, no, I'm here and I'll talk, and that's all good things, right, Jesse?
Actually, you asked if I was going to talk, and not a day goes by where I don't.
That's also true. So we also have Jordan Wise with us. And Jordan, tell us a little bit about your business and kind of your backstory, and just let's kind of jump into it.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike. It's great to be here. It's good to see Jesse as well. Just wanted to, I guess, let everyone know that we're going to be opening up. We have a grand opening actually on October 15th from 5 to 8. It's going to be some free coffee, free tea, because we are a courtyard cafe. It's going to be on a blacktop basis, which is in the Cavaliers Corner, Runkin Pratt Strip Mall, located on 1208 Perivaux Road. So that is something where we're kind of still initiating. We're still kind of bringing it all together for October 15th. Starting up this Vincent Van Gogh Café, which is what it's named, is named after Vincent Van Gogh. So kind of looking at it being a artsy cafe with health and wellness, initiated, oriented. Kind of our mission objective is health and wellness, and a little dab of spirituality, to kind of get a little bit more calm in what today's society is all about.
Gotcha. Sounds good. So, I've got some questions here that you've given us, which is very thankful. So I appreciate that. So tell us about the very first question was, kind of share more about your experience. So apparently you have a twin brother.
Yes. My twin brother, we actually shared the same room for 18 years. And he followed me to college. We were very, very close, and still keep that closeness going, even though he's in New York. I'm here in Virginia now. My twin brother has always been there by my side to really be a support system to me, and I've been a support system to him. A lot of the time when he was growing up, we used to pretty much dress alike. It was
kind of like twins do, right?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know if you want to call that twinning, but
I do want to call that twinning.
In that case, it is a true case of twinning.
Yeah, but we were fraternal, and we still are, of course. So the thing is, when you look at the two of us that are kind of almost like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito.
Gotcha.
Oh, is that?
It's just a train going by. No big deal.
So that's pretty cool. I was like, I'm just a little shocked on the train coming. Like, I was like, is it over?
Is there no train promo right now?
There is.
Every time the train goes by, we talk about.
There is no train promo. So
business.
We're talking to Brandon Brown. If you're listening, Brandon, come on now.
It's going to be a few $1,000.
We need the train sponsor back
every month,
right?
Yeah.
So
I like vibration in my seats, and without having the automatic on it, I think it's kind of doing its charm.
Right, there you go.
Train nearby.
So, so your brother had some health issues growing at some point?
Yes. So he actually, at the age of 7, was riding his bike, fell off his bike. I believe he hit his head on the curb and formed a blood clot somewhat within the brain that we were unaware of at the time. And I was 7 years old, same as him. And the night that maybe a few days later, as things were kind of progressing, what happened was he actually ended up falling off his bed in the middle of the night, I guess tossing and turning and whatever was happening in his brain, and fell in between both our beds. And I had woken up at the time, and I turned on the light, and I saw him lying in the middle of both our beds, not breathing, not, I thought he was joking. I thought he was playing a joke,
Right.
as kids do. So I thought, I was like, hey, come on, get up. You can, stop fooling around, and he wasn't moving. He wasn't any of that. So I called for my mother, and my mother was with my ex-stepdad at that time. And, we rushed upstairs and got the ambulance over and took him to the hospital. And he was pretty much on life support, couldn't breathe without a apparatus, breathing tube and all, and had to be fed through a tube and all this for, I'd say, almost 3/4 of a year. And we were kind of almost feeling like there was no hope, and that it wasn't going to, even with, say, surgery and trying to operate and such, and things weren't working out. But there was a miracle that happened, and he had come out from wherever he was.
Right.
And sure, he was with God at that point, even as a in a middle time of being there. But he then came back to us, and the crazy thing about it is that he had to relearn every single thing, literally from like 7 years old, as though he was a baby, had to relearn how to walk, talk, every single thing.
Yeah.
Didn't recognize any of the family either.
Wow.
Literally lost all of the memories, everything that he was from early, being and my mother giving birth to him being 7 years old. He lost all of that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so that had to have a big impact on you.
Oh, absolutely. I saw almost like in a death to life capacity of realization that we only have a certain amount of time on this earth. And, at the age of 7, I kind of learned that real quickly. And it was kind of frightening at that time, for sure. But also there was so much joy and lifting when he did come out of the coma, and that our whole support system was there for him, because he had to, with even learning how to walk again, go from a wheelchair to a walker to, any type of help and support from all of us. Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot to have to go through, but glad he came through it, and you're able to be on the other side and have him with you. So that's good.
Yeah, but the best part about it right now is that he's teaching kids who have disability.
Wow.
He was able to get back on track and graduate with me from all the levels of elementary school to junior high to high school to college. He was able to get back on track, and he pushed himself, motivated himself. I saw motivation as a child that I never ever saw from anybody, even to this day. For somebody who is in that state to be able to overcome all of this and get to that state, it's amazing. So now he's teaching kids that actually have disabilities and special education, and he does this up in New York, and he's got a family, he's married, has a child. It's amazing.
That is amazing. That's a long way to come from that. And it's great that he's able to kind of take his experience and work with kids with disabilities and things like that. And kind of channel that, that into that.
It's the give back situation,
Right.
It's a selfless side of things, where he knows that people helped him out. He wants to do the same for others. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Talking about what is Epstein-Barr and Lyme disease? Like, you want to talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah.
Part of your story?
Sure. So, when I was actually taking care of my grandfather, my father had reached out to me while I was living in Astoria, New York, and I was working within the alcohol beverage industry at the time. and I was living on my own, didn't have a family of my own yet, didn't have kids. And my father had said, "You're the only one within the family that really could help out your grandfather and be there as a support system while he's in his, early to mid 80s." And he lived in a big house all by himself. Now there was another person that was always there as a last resort and take care moment. She was really there for him when other family members were not. So she was almost part of the family at that point. So whenever he needed to be taken to a doctor's appointment or wherever. So what happened was I was actually in this area of Smithtown, New York, Long Island. I had moved out from Astoria to Smithtown, New York. Now, I don't know if you know about Long Island too much, but there's a lot of deer.
I did not know that about Long
Did
Island.
you know
I didn't either.
There's a lot here.
Yeah,
There's a
just
lot here. Exactly.
We're just like Long Island. Yes,
it's the same place basically.
that's what I'm hearing.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shock value, I'd have to say, with being around deer here, because it brings up memories of over in Long Island. And there were a family of deer that were on his property. He was up on a hill, was a big nature reserve type place, and lots of deer. And I love deer, don't get me wrong. I'm an advocate when it comes down to any animals and such. And
Right.
I love animals. I love just everything from pets to, all different creatures of, this earth. But, they actually harbor a lot of ticks. And I don't know if you've seen the Lyme disease epidemic, or, the following from, say, Lyme, Connecticut, all the way down even here, where
Right.
alpha gal is quite relevant.
Right. Yeah, and we're at Central Virginia apparently is a hotspot for alpha gal. Like 86% of the cases in the United States are in Central Virginia, which is kind of wild to even think about, right? So
Is that a real number? 86?
yeah.
God.
Yeah, I got it from somebody who was doing an education thing at Central. So
Oh,
I trust that they do
that's
their
probably right then.
yeah. I trust them to get that information right. So but that's a really high percentage for, and it's because of our high deer population, and you don't really get it much out west and things like that. I traveled for work to San Diego, and I said, they're like, "Do you have any food allergies?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have alpha gal. Like, I'm not very sensitive to it, but just want to kind of be aware of what's in my food." And he was like, "What's alpha gal?" And I'm like, "Well, it's an allergy to red meat." And he's, "What is that?" Like, so I had to kind of educate him, and he's like, he brought me literally a list of every ingredient that was in the dishes that I was looking at. And I was like, okay, so like he took it serious and it was good, but like, yeah, he had no clue what it was, which was wild to me because here it's everywhere. Right. So
yeah. And so that's the thing. There's different strains of the disease from, say, ticks or different insects and such that are around, and Lyme disease, it has probably at least, I don't know, maybe 15 different types of strains that I know of. And I got a strain that wasn't alpha gal, but it was definitely one that was debilitating. So I didn't even know I had Epstein-Barr until I got tested pretty much from a Lyme disease perspective. And I was actually misdiagnosed for 3 to 4 months with this disease that was going through me, this infection from the tick that was, pretty much came off the deer, of course, in the property, and then maybe went on a blade of grass that was pretty much tall and brushed against my leg, and it crawled up and created a big red blotchy mark. And from when I went to the dermatologist said, "Well, this blotch over there looks like a bacterial infection. How about we give you antibiotics for it?" And I said, "Okay, sounds good." So I started taking the antibiotics. Guess which one they was? Just basic, like amoxicillin, Augmentin, that kind of thing. It wasn't doxycycline. Now, if anyone who knows anything about Lyme disease, you need the doxycycline antibiotics to actually help stop it in its tracks from doing any damage to the body.
Right.
And I got misdiagnosed. I went back 3 times. And on the 3rd time, when I was really falling apart and I was falling on my face and all of these symptoms were happening, she's like, "I think you better go to the hospital right now."
That's not words you want to hear, right?
No.
Yeah.
Like,
you should probably go to the emergency room right now.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what I did. I literally went to the ER and they hooked me up with the bags of the doxycycline fluid and, everything that was going through me intravenously. And then I had to take at least another 2 months, 60 days of doxycycline pills, even on top of that. But it already did its damage. It already went through the brain barrier where it actually caused a neurological disorder. And it affected concentration, affected focus, it affected my physical abilities to some degree, but it was a very small amount. It wasn't enough where I said, okay, I can't work, I can't do my exercise, I can't do social things with friends, but it was enough where I saw a difference where maybe I was 100%, went down to about 85%. Yeah.
Wow.
And so then the doxycycline and such was able to at least put it in its tracks and not get to another stage.
Right.
But it was definitely debilitating at the time, and I did take off probably close to 3, maybe 4 months on the work side because it was in that stage really
Right.
bad.
Right. So you've had a lot of health issues through the years and things like that we've kind of established, right? So, tell me a little bit about your cafe, because you have 3 mission objectives centered around arts, health, and wellness, and spirituality. So tell us kind of what those pillars and the mission
Sure.
is for you.
Thanks, Mike, for mentioning that. These are like beliefs to core missions to objectives that I hold very dear to my heart, and I feel like instead of really this cafe being a cafe for people just to enjoy, products and items and stuff like that, I look at it more as a movement, try to be almost like a franchise side movement that brings it, say, nationwide and then even globally and such. On the categories of, say, the arts, if we go into the art side of it, well, Vincent Van Gogh is my favorite artist.
Right.
He was my favorite. He is my favorite artist. He is amazing. I think he's most people's favorite artist. He has that amazing story background, but he also has amazing pieces of artwork that look like they're always in motion.
Right.
And my grandmother was a painter. I don't know if Jesse had mentioned that to you, but there's a story that's actually on the coffee package and on the tea tin that we have, because we sell coffee and tea already prepackaged. And it actually has a memorial to my grandmother, who was an artist, and her favorite artist was Vincent Van Gogh.
Okay.
And that's how it became mine.
Right.
And what would happen was she would be influencing me like you wouldn't believe. And I mean, when it came down to New York, New York City or Manhattan is the hub of arts and culture.
Right.
Right. So she took me to museums, she took me to Broadway shows, she took me to art festivals. I mean, you name it, anything from the arts, concerts, music, you name it. She influenced me enough where I was loving that side of, life, really. Right. I just look at it as life, it's like a third of me, if anything. And so with my grandmother being a second mother to me as I was growing up, my mother was more or less a person that really held down the whole household, working long hours, trying to feed, the 3 of us, and then maybe the 4th after, of course.
Right.
There's a 4th, but it was from another father.
Yeah.
I think that the idea of a family helping and pitching out and support system, my grandfather and my grandma on both sides were really there for us when my mother was working, when we were after school. So I looked at my grandmother, my grandma Phyllis, as being a second mother and probably the closest grandparent to me that I could really speak my mind and be as honest and forward as possible.
Right.
So the arts side of the business really comes from a foundation of my grandmother. It comes from the foundation of loving Vincent Van Gogh, and it comes from supporting the arts. And what we want to do is give back to the arts, whereas starving artists, struggling artists,
right,
any artists that are looking for a help and hand with our event space. We want to be able to showcase their art within our event space at no charge. And that's the cool thing about it, is that we want to make sure that they're making some money off of the art, being able to support themselves and love what they do.
Right. And being able to support them and also showcase them and have a place where people can maybe discover an artist they didn't know that was out there. Right. Mm-hmm. So I like that. So how do you envision, we talked about supporting different artists and things like that. How do you envision supporting those? Like what kind of avenues are you going to display their art or, work with different artists and
Absolutely. I look at displaying the art, say if it was paintings or sculptures or any type of ceramic pieces, anything that they felt that they wanted to display, we'd have a scheduling system on a calendar to give them a window of time to actually do it. But also, we're looking at having a vocalist, guitar player playing at least once a week for a few hours and kind of having that ambiance of music.
Yeah.
And that side of the art. So we're not just talking about painting art.
Right. Not just painting and sculptures, but also the vocal art and music and
absolutely.
Things that people can really connect with.
Absolutely.
No matter what your favorite kind of art is.
Yeah. And even painting, like say if you ever had the Bob Ross channel, have you ever seen that guy with the big fro?
Yes. I've got a friend that uses it. So every time her toddler won't go to sleep, she'll put Bob Ross on and he's out within 15 minutes. So she says it plays in her house all the time, just hoping he'll fall asleep. So, but it's great being able to, and my wife and I've done a little bit of painting and stuff like that, just as like, the sip and paint or whatever, kind of you go, and those are always fun. Mine never look as good as hers.
Yeah.
But, it's fun
which one was the one that you were actually painting, like from some famous artist? Which one?
Well, it wasn't from a famous artist. It was just it was like a picture of a boot or something. Like, I don't know.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
So
it was
I think on that front, Jordan, you have told me a lot about like the events that you're going to do, like music nights, sip and paint nights. You want to go into like how using it as an event space, I think is something that Forest in general is going to love and need and enjoy.
Yeah, especially in that location, because it's kind of, I hate to say it's central because it's kind of at the edge of Forest, but it's central for like Bedford and, there's a lot of homes and things around it. So it's somewhere where a nice kind of like that nice local vibe.
Well, as a former Jefferson Forest Cavalier, I think like that is going to draw in a ton of the high school crowd and the people living around there.
Yeah, I really believe it's like a family-friendly type event space. So we kind of looking at it being like from all age groups and such.
Yeah.
So, we want to make it a social hub, and that's the biggest thing. And it's like to attract people for a social hub, you have to give activity, right?
Right.
So events and the arts kind of provide that.
Yeah.
And just like you guys said with Sip and Paint, we definitely want to do something like that. We're actually going to be starting out a list of mocktails, which are non-alcoholic cocktails. We don't do any alcohol whatsoever. Again, very family friendly.
Right.
But the idea of it is you can have an amazing drink that's not just a basic soda or soft drink, something that's a little more creation, that has mixology involved.
And has a good flavor. And
flavors and real juices and real fruits and such, not anything artificial or chemical. So that kind of leads me into the health and wellness side. If you want me to elaborate.
Yeah, I do. So
you should, and I'll let me chip in. Those mocktails taste incredible.
Okay.
They're really good.
Jesse and I were sampling these together at the very beginning, I have to say. This is like literally like the first stage of saying, oh, I got the mocktails. They just came in. They just got delivered. Hey, Jesse, let's taste them together.
I'm a pretty good taste tester.
Right.
If anyone wants to give me free things, I'll always taste test it.
Food,
And then I'll tell you my
anything.
opinion.
Yeah.
And then I'll absolutely give you my opinion after that. Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Oh,
I have no doubt.
Yeah, he's got a good palate, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's well cultured.
Yeah.
If you want to say that.
So in looking at because you're obviously focused on health and wellness and things like that, but also the arts. So like, how does that kind of inspire your food and the drinks and things that you have? Like, how do you come across those and build your menu to kind of stay with that same, the health and wellness, but also it needs to taste good, right? So how do you kind of balance that out?
Oh, absolutely, Mike.
It's not all kale, right?
No. I don't think we're going to have kale, to be honest.
As soon as somebody says, oh, health and wellness, it's like, oh, we're doing kale, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts. Like, I'm in. Let's go.
No, not at all. I mean, I look at when you create a menu and you want people to be, you want to have it warm and inviting and stuff, you have to create comfort foods. No matter what, whatever cuisine, whatever genre, whatever style that you even think of, you got to make it comfort.
Right.
You've
got to make it good and make it where like, you look forward to it and it's not like, well, let's go eat healthy. So let's go here. Right. It's like, oh, I want this and it's delicious. It
Yeah.
just happens to be good for me.
No, it's yeah, exactly what you said, because nutrition is the key.
Right.
So as long as you can make any comfort food in a nutritional value way,
Right.
and just cut out the two things that are possibly, creating, say, effects to your chronic illness or diabetes or different ailments.
Because there are a lot of things
weight
that could cause inflammation and things like that we eat on a daily basis, and you don't really think about it, right? So,
Absolutely.
so like I talked earlier about having alpha gal, I still eat beef and pork and bacon and all the delicious things. But if I have to watch that I don't eat too many days in a row, right? Because it's not like I have I don't have like an allergic reaction to it, but it can make me feel not great if I'm eating too much red meat and not enough
Yeah.
the good stuff, right? So
Absolutely. And the thing is, I think you're even putting more emphasis on gut health as well, because your brain, your body, everything is really designed from the gut with the consumption of what you're eating. And if your body doesn't know what it is or rejects it, boy, your whole body goes reactive,
Right.
in reactive mode. And that's kind of what I felt with having Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr, but then also having 2 shots of the Pfizer vaccine that almost did me in. And that was the third thing that really just put the, I guess, cream on the top of the cake kind
Right.
of thing. And without sounding dietary on that one, but really that was the biggest punch that got me into the whole health and wellness field as we are talking about this. When you have your body that is constantly fighting itself through means that whatever you had taken, whether it's pill form, vaccine form, virus form, disease from any sort, your body is always in flux and it's creating a lot of inflammation. And that inflammation can cause all different types of even more illness and such.
Yeah.
And so that could be even a forming of cancers with inflammation. So if your body is constantly in inflammation mode, you have to try to take down the inflammation as much as possible.
Right.
And the way to do that is eliminating certain types of food ingredients within, say, some of the comfort foods that you have, or finding alternatives to those ingredients.
Right.
And I'll give you 2 examples, right? So sugar cane sugar is almost in everything. When you go into the supermarkets of today, do you not see about 85%, 90% for sure that has certain number of grams of sugar? What do you think?
Yeah. It's got quite a bit of sugar in it. Right?
95. I'll get 95.
Maybe even 95, Jesse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's up there.
Yeah, I try to be as careful as possible, not going as close to the 100, even though there's that much for sure.
I can toe the line, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I have to say that when you go look in the back of every package from a nutritional fact side of things, you'll see sugarcane sugar in a lot of items. And this is an inflammatory type ingredient. And it's only going to make any chronic illness you have worse, no matter what, whether it's from diabetes, is a sugar kind of insulin level, not boosting your insulin level. They're being very careful about their sugar intake and all that. And I understand. But from a chronic illness side, they should also be looking at the sugars too, because that boosts everything from an inflammatory level. And then that makes you physically worse from a weak standpoint. It makes your concentration and focus worse.
Gives you a lot more fatigue and things like that because your body's working harder to try and process that through and things like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Extreme fatigue is one of the biggest things that I deal with every single day based on my condition, and 3 conditions that I have is that I always feel tired. I try to boost my energy level with my brain in a motivational way as much as I can, but I'm constantly exhausted. Like, it's just a weird feeling that you never can feel refreshed or feel like you have energy, but this is like a new life for me. And it's not just that, even is that with my condition, unfortunately, I have a certain number of hours like a battery would have before my battery dies.
Right.
And then I'm just kaput. I'm out like for the rest of the day or the evening, that I can't think straight, that I can't physically do anything, that I have to literally be like sitting, lying down, something, because I already exhausted all of that battery that most people would have 4 times, 5 times as much.
Right.
So these are the things that I have to deal with, but I feel like I manage my time better now. And I think that with the health and wellness side of it and the food and the beverages that I consume, it really makes a huge difference knowing what to eat and what not to eat.
Right.
And the sugar is, again, I avoid sugar like the plague.
Right.
So I'm literally looking in the back. I don't know if you ever seen this this guy, Bobby Parrish, who is on social media. He's a social media influencer in health and wellness. Have you seen him?
Yeah.
So what do you know about Bobby?
Not much. I think I've seen like 2 or 3 videos from him. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Have you seen Jesse?
I'm sure I've seen him in passing, but I haven't delved too deep on him. No.
Okay. So Bobby Parrish, he kind of goes into all the supermarkets like Costco or Walmart or any of them, right? And he goes, calls every single one of these brands out saying, hey, what are you doing hiding this in here?
Right.
What are you doing? It's like, this doesn't need to be in here.
Right.
Find this one over here. And he'll pick up another one that's maybe nearby that's less, brand name known. And I'll say, oh, well, this one doesn't have the sugar that, could obviously hurt you in some fashion, And the same with seed oils. Have you heard about seed oils being bad for you?
No.
So have you heard about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So seed oils are really big inflammatory markers within your body and actually hurt your gut so much it rips your lining quite a bit. What happens is you get sunflower, safflower, canola oil, corn oil to vegetable oil. All of these oils are so bad for you. And I would say 80%, if not 85%, I'll give it similar to the same degree on the sugar side, of restaurants on premise are cooking with all these oils that are so bad for you.
Right.
And they don't know anything of it. They don't even know that it's bad for you. They just know that it's cheap oil to cook with. And they know that butter might be more expensive. And they know that avocado oil or olive oil might be more expensive. And they're using that oil instead.
And unless you've got a food allergy or something, you're not walking into a restaurant and asking like, well, what were these cooked in? Right? Like, what was this cooked with? Like all that, right? You're just like,
that's me though.
I'll take number 4. I'll take number 4. It's good. Right. So
yeah.
But you don't know what they're cooking with and things like that unless you ask. And so, yeah, you've got things that could be detrimental to your health and you just don't know.
But Mike, you almost feel like a pariah in a lot of ways by even asking a waiter or waitress that's at the table and you're among friends or family.
Right.
And you're like telling, hey, can you check the kitchen to see what seed oil they're using? If they're using any, can you make mine with butter or avocado oil or olive oil? And it's like, you kind of feel a bit embarrassed.
Right.
But you shouldn't feel because you know that it's only going to help you at the end of the day feel better every day.
Right. I get that.
But I think there's a stigma involved with people who want to kind of use their ordering system in a way to cut things out. And just like you say you're dealing with the Alpha Gal side of it, when you go to certain restaurants, you're that guy also, right?
Right.
So that's...
Yeah.
So it's like, but they got to understand you have something that you're dealing with.
Right.
And you're just trying to make yourself better. I mean, we've been lulled to sleep to this point where you're not allowed to make yourself better, and you should be.
And I think from, big pharma state, we kind of look at ours as being naturopathic, homeopathic, holistic. That's how this cafe is going to be run, with nothing that's going to be there to hurt you and also give you the option and variety for everyone who has a different chronic illness, because everything's not exactly the same.
Right. Everything's different.
Yeah. So like for your side, if you need to have more of a vegan option, we're going to have that. Absolutely.
I like it. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and run a few commercials, and then we'll come back and finish learning more about the cafe. So I'm excited to learn more.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Omega Disaster Restoration, located in Campbell County, Virginia. Omega specializes in water, fire, and smoke damage restoration, as well as mold remediation. Their region includes Central and Southwest Virginia, which spans a vast service area from Blacksburg to Charlottesville and Stanton to Danville.
In addition to disaster restoration and full service reconstruction and remodeling, Omega is proud to offer custom all-wood cabinets through their Hanover Woodworking Studio, custom countertops via their Top Solution Studio, and dumpster services through Old Dominion dumpsters, all part of the Omega family of brands. A beautiful showroom is currently under construction at their Exchange Drive location and will be soon open to the public, showcasing their diverse offerings.
Customers can call 434-616-4659 for emergency assistance with water, fire, smoke damage, or mold remediation needs. Omega provides 24/7 emergency response, ensuring that help is always available. Locally owned and not a franchise, Omega is your first and last call in any emergency, restoring your home or business from beginning to end. For more information about Omega Disaster Restoration and their comprehensive services, please visit omegadisasterrestoration.com/VA/Lynchburg.
One thing protects it all, your roof. And when you've got a new one, you're set for decades. I'm Andrew Lee. Our company, Perimeter Roofing and Exteriors, is trusted by homeowners and businesses for all roofing and exterior projects. Shingles, metal, slate, gutters, windows, siding, decks, and more. Perimeter Roofing and Exteriors is your go-to for all protection and efficiency. Get your free no-hassle inspection today. Call or text 434-515-2868. Perimeter Roofing and Exteriors, protecting from the top down.
And we're back. If you missed the introduction to the beginning, I'm Mike Norfield with Visiting Angels of Lynchburg, America's Choice in Home Care. I did not say that earlier, so you've got it now. And we've got Jordan Weiss with us, and Jesse Reynolds is here as well, pitching in a little bit, giving his opinion on what tastes good and what doesn't. Right, Jesse?
I'll give you all the opinions you want.
Okay.
Just give me a topic.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, so wanted to talk a little bit about you. You touched earlier about the spiritual aspect of the cafe. So tell me a little bit about how you want to kind of incorporate some of the Judeo-Christian values into your cafe's culture.
I think that's a great question, Mike. So I grew up in a Jewish household, okay, and I wasn't as religious as an Orthodox Jew would be, where, you would pretty much be wearing the garb and you would go in a temple on a regular basis and doing the prayers, and even during the high holidays, be doing more in a longer period of time during the high holidays for the Jewish religion. But I did get a foundation in Judaism based off of going to Hebrew school, being brought up in a reformed, more or less, temple, something that was a little bit more easygoing rather than a very kind of conservative format. I didn't have I had the push for Judaism through my mother and through my grandfather on my father's side. And there was a lot of that push, but really out of anybody else in my family, we kind of, everybody married outside of their religion practically. So it was more Christian Catholic based throughout the rest of the family, except for my mother holding down the fort really on Judaism, and my grandfather who is now passed. The one who I was taking care of was very much oriented in Judaism. But I have to say, going through Hebrew school, I didn't really have a connection. I felt like there was somewhat of a loss of connection at early childhood, that I was constantly in the principal's office. So they were, I questioned so much that they said, we got to get this kid out of class, get him through to being a bar mitzvah kid and do their thing and get your party and get out of here, So I was kind of almost like, not ousted, but just felt like they didn't want to take the time to answer any questions. I was just too inquisitive of a kid.
Right.
And so because I didn't feel like there was that bond there between the elders within the Jewish faith and myself, I kind of neglected and said, no, I don't want to go to Hebrew school. Nah, I don't really care about this, But the party for the bar mitzvah side was amazing.
Gotcha.
So I had all my friends
good
and
party.
everything. Yeah.
Here's your party, get out. That's going to be like, I got a feeling that's a bumper sticker in my future.
Yeah.
Here's your party, get out.
Exactly.
So so as we've talked a little bit about some of the struggles you've had through life and different things like that, you've overcome it. So with this cafe, like what does success look like for you with your journey with this cafe?
Well, with me being, I guess, on the road of illness, I guess, and struggle and suffering for many years now, I think that it's been a path for me by God. I feel that I was meant to suffer. I was meant to go through these things to learn and to be closer to God. And I think that, and as well, Jesus, of course. So now the thing is, I've just joined a church. It's been a few months now, maybe four months, joining Mercy Presbyterian in Forest. And Pastor Brian Rigg is absolutely amazing pastor. He's absolutely amazing. And I believe that now, since from my Judaism foundation and such, and not really having that connection, and through my suffering, through health, through many hard times, and also feeling like I've seen signs. And I know that that could be very skeptical, and people can be very diminishing when someone says, you're seeing signs. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. The doubts and all that. And,
Right.
and I have felt for the last 4 years of struggling and suffering from the COVID vaccine related illness and having all of these issues throughout my body that are even worse than the Lyme disease and Epstein-Barr, that God was showing me, Jesus was showing me a different path to form this cafe as a movement, as a mission, almost missionary work in some way, in spirituality. And I think from the signs that I've experienced, and I'll touch on a few of these signs. How about that? Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. So within the last 4 years, I've been seeing, and you can call me crazy, but I have been doing it, that I've been seeing numbers in succession, like 111, 222, 333, 444, and it not being a premeditated look at a phone or clock or whatever it is, but like gradually, almost like not seeing or hearing or feeling anything, but almost being nudged in some way to look at something at that point, a clock at that point, whether it's on the iPhone or just a basic clock, and seeing the numbers. It's like so digital, of course, but but the thing is, seeing these for the last 4 years on a regular basis, but before that I wasn't. So it was like a total difference in, why am I keep seeing this?
Right.
I don't I'm like questioning. I'm constantly asking people, why do I keep seeing this?
And so they call those angel numbers, and there are different like definitions of like the 111s and the 444s. Like you can look up the 777s,
Yeah.
and it does give you like their different, I guess, explanations to the different numbers that you see.
Yeah.
So maybe whichever ones are standing out the most, you can look into that a little bit more.
Yeah. And now I'm not, and I want to make it very clear, I'm not looking at myself as being anything of a spiritual leader or a person who is trying to be above anybody, who are even to the point of being trying to be an apostle or somebody who's a saint. I'm not looking for that. I'm not trying to be. I'm not saying this for any of those purposes.
Right.
It's just personal experience that I just have to get it off my chest and say it. And so these are certain signs, but then there were other signs that were almost like not in your face, but showing me Christianity. And so remember I mentioned my grandfather, who is very much rooted in Judaism.
Yeah.
So get this, he actually owned the temple at the age of like within his 80s. He owned the temple. Should I wait before the train hits me?
Yeah, that was a sign.
It doesn't come
Is that
through
a
the microphone. It doesn't come through the microphones as much as you think it does. So it's loud.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so people, I'm listening to a train, almost feel like it's in the room with me, but
It's close.
it's close by. Yeah. So my grandfather, who's rooted in Judaism, he actually in his 80s owned a temple himself, and because our congregation was very low at the time within the area, he felt some sort of movement himself to help a Christian church to actually allow the sale of a huge number of people to be parishioners in their congregation, to use that temple and then buy that temple at a very, very low price for their for Christianity.
Yeah.
And my grandfather did this while I was living with him. So I got to see this firsthand, and I became friends with the pastor, and we went out for lunches and we had long talks. And at that time, I wasn't thinking about movement from religion to religion or trying to transform myself in any fashion, but it felt like a stepping stone. So these are signs in my mind of like stepping stones throughout my life, that even when I was in the hospital praying for the suffering to end, and lots of suffering I can go into at another time, there's just too much to talk about from suffering.
Right.
But I was praying that to try to save myself somehow, to try to have something save me through 2.5 years of literally the worst. I would never, I would never wish this on my worst enemy kind of suffering, and it just, I was able to get through it. But I made a commitment to God during that time. I made a commitment to Jesus at that time. I made a commitment to such a degree that I will live my life specifically in a spiritual way of helping others and only looking out for others, truly, to do good, and not be looking at it from a greed perspective, not looking from, making money. Money means nothing to me. At this point, when you go through what I've been through, money means absolutely nothing. It's a matter of connections. It's about meeting you. It's about meeting Jesse. It's about everybody who's in your path, to get to know everybody, because that's what you take with you. You take away these memories. You don't take away the clothing. You don't take away the cars that you buy. You don't take away the houses and big condos and whatever it may be.
Yeah. I like that.
So, yeah.
So as you prepare to open the Blacktop Courtyard Cafe, what are you most excited about, and what do you think is going to be your biggest challenge?
I'm very excited about meeting everyone in town. I feel like I've made a bit.
You seem like a people person.
I love people.
Right.
I mean, really.
You've been really shy today. It's really been hard for you to open up. So
I'm transparent.
Right.
I'll tell you, I'm an open book. I'll tell you exactly what's on my mind with, like, obviously try to be filters on anything. We were talking earlier. I was like, is there profanity allowed here and such? I was like, I'm from New York. Jesse was kidding. He's from New York. He might use a couple of curse words.
I wasn't kidding. I know how you Yankees are.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, with me, people come first before the product, before the item. And I think everybody here that lives in the Lynchburg, Forest, Bedford area, I want to meet everybody. I want to be able to shake hands. I want to get to know everybody's lives. I want to be that person,
right?
And create.
I just want to say I don't think there's any better place than like Forest, Lynchburg, Bedford for meeting people like that, because it seems like a bedrock of like personal connection and personal connectivity. And I think you're in the exact right spot to be able to do that, because everyone is very like, I know you, I know you, I know you. And people are more prone to that here than I think anywhere else I've ever been.
Community is everything. I think this area that I moved into, and again, that's also a sign in my mind, is why did I move here? Why did I end up in Forest, Virginia, when I was living in New York, near New York City, in the biggest hub, for most of my life, Long Island, New York City, Manhattan, and living even in Astoria, Queens, and then going down to Miami, Florida, and living there for 4 to 5 years. Even though I was suffering down there with my issues, it was still an amazing, beautiful place. I had an awesome condo. I was right on the water. I had paradise. In my mind at the time was paradise, but it was all, trivial, tangible things. Everything was fake, right? The people down there were more about appearance and looks and their body and everything like that. Over here, you find literally people that are so salt of the earth, like amazing inside souls that just want to bond with each other and not think of these other things that are superficial. And that's one of the reasons why I stayed here, right? Mm-hmm. But the one reason why I actually even was here to begin with was I lost my condo. I lost everything due to my illness. I had so much on medical bills. And even my father, having a lot of money, was able to help me during that time to survive when I was out of work for 3.5, 4 years. It was a diehard moment to say, I'm giving up everything that I've ever had and worked for to do this, to go to Forest, Virginia, where he actually had a condo in which he was building up development areas. I don't know if you know Brian Runk from Runk and Pratt and such.
Yeah.
And so my father and even Brian were actually doing things together in some capacity with building a lot of development homes and such, and building up forest by the golf course over there, pretty much where I live right now on Perivale Road in that area. So my father said, hey, I know you lost your condo. I know you lost everything. I got a place for you. So my dad brought me here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad lives in Ireland, by the way.
Oh,
So this is his second home.
right.
He don't have a lot of homes. He has a second home.
Right.
And this is where he was only using it for work mode of building areas throughout Forest. And he was trying to do a very nice thing, I think. Same with Brian, with bringing more people here.
Yeah. I like it. So if you could describe your cafe in like 3 words, what would they be and why?
I would say authenticity, health, and arts.
I think that captures it pretty well.
Yeah, I just, I think that it's going to be a focus entirely on that. From a cafe side, from personal side, it's a lot of spirituality too. So, there are, I don't want to, with your listeners, there's probably people from all different backgrounds. And, like I said, I came from a foundation of Judaism, and Judeo-Christian values is now kind of becoming more with Christian side, but I don't want to feel like I'm negating, all spirituality in whole and all religions. I want to be very inclusive with all of this. And
especially when your personal story comes from so many facets of different religions and lines of thought, things like that. You've kind of got a good mix instead of just kind of having, well, this is what I've known my entire life. You've kind of got a little bit more perspective on different outlooks and things like that.
Sure. The idea is that if you're good to your neighbor and you're selfless, and I should have probably said, well, maybe not from a cafe level, but a personal level, I live my life as what would Jesus do?
Right.
And that's really the meaning of like selflessness. Like, as much as you can be selfless to another person and think of that person before yourself, that's how I live my life. That's how I want the cafe to kind of go forward. The people that we hire, the barista mixologists, have to be aligned with that same selfless attitude that I want to get to know you as a customer before I serve you this food.
Right.
I want to know who you are, and in an authentic way, not a Starbucks way.
Right.
Because Starbucks kind of has that as a program, and a lot of people don't know that. I worked for Starbucks for a little while, and they use that as a training kind of platform of how to get people to get to know other people by name recognition, and then what, the questions to ask and such. But I want it to be the people that we hire already have that in them.
Right.
They don't have to be trained for that.
Right.
That's part of our hiring process, is finding good people.
I gotcha.
And you've hired really well, and you've got like a bunch of interesting programs, almost influencer type programs with the baristas you're hiring. Do you want to touch on that a little bit? Because I'm just impressed, because I can't hire well at all.
Well,
and you've done a great job.
Thank you for saying that, but it's the place that we're in that make a big difference. I think it's not just me finding these people. It's we're living in an area in Forest, Bedford, Lynchburg that has these people that are normally that way.
Yeah.
That I don't have to like really look at. I mean, I had 75 applicants for barista mixologists, and I was so taken back because in another area, like say if it was New York or Miami, it would be probably 10% or 15% of that and such. There's a lot of competition, of course, that's one thing, but I think when they read over what the premise is on Vincent Van Gogh Café and what it is almost like an alignment of movement. I think it touched a lot of people's hearts and souls. And I think that's what kind of brought out 75. But I also feel that with that being said, they had to be skilled barista mixologists. They had to have the skills and training from other experiences in their past for them to work with us as well. And so, in this case, we're looking for the best of the best, and if we're going to look at somebody coming to us over, say, I don't want to name names, but let's say just a basic cafe.
We'll just say Jesse's Cafe.
Let's say Jesse's Cafe.
I have a business plan for a cafe. Don't worry.
I'm sure you do.
In my notes.
Sure you do. Yeah.
We'll combine forces. We'll collaborate.
It has a moat around it.
So let's say the difference between Jesse's
That's
Cafe.
not inclusive.
So the difference between like if somebody going to work for Jesse's Cafe and you was like, where are we going with that?
So yeah, with another, say, cafe and such, we're looking at having more time spent on your drink, not being fast food. There's a lot of drive-through places that are in town. I can at least say that. I don't want to name names and put down any other companies or brands except for the Starbucks thing I had to say. But other than that, I look at it as we're going to have the people that put together something that is magical, that is taking the time, not a rush situation. So come to us knowing that we're going to try to take care of the order as quickly as possible, but we're not fast food. We're not drive-through.
Right.
It's like we'll deliver to your car while you're parked out there to make it almost like a drive-through situation in our, Blacktop Courtyard Cafe. But I think that if you rush perfection, you're not getting perfection.
Yeah. I had a boss I worked for one time and he was always, so he would bring things to me last minute that needed to be done and go out the door. And it was a production job. So it was like, it's like, well, this really needs to go out. And I would just look at him and be like, well, do you want it right or do you want it right now?
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same kind of thing with your drinks. Like it may take a little bit more time to get it done, but it's going to be a quality, healthy, made with love drink. Right.
Exactly. And there may be some artistry on the side of the barista that wants to maybe paint a picture for you on your coffee.
Right.
So, there's a lot of good artistry in the foam side,
I'll pay extra for a cup of coffee with Jesse's face on the top. That's all I'm going to say.
You can draw a boot now, right?
Yeah, I can paint a boot.
Okay.
So I've got machines that'll, do whatever. So, but yeah. Well, that's great. Well, we're kind of running out of time here. So I just kind of want to finish it up. So tell us more about where people can find you and what,
Yeah, so
the best way to enjoy a drink from you guys.
Thank you. The Vincent Van Gogh Cafe, we're going to have online at vvgcafe.com. You'll be able to see Vincent Van Gogh Cafe's schedule. There'll be an online schedule for any of the baristas that are working as well. And it's going to be more about following your barista. It's not about the company name. It's not about the company branding. I don't care about that. I'm not looking for fame and fortune and any of that. I'm literally looking to provide a service of event space, like I mentioned earlier, where baristas, mixologists can actually use this platform as an entrepreneurial stage of while they're in college to then hone in on their skills and be their own boss, really what it comes down to. So they're not going to have like some supervisor looking over their shoulder. What are you doing over there? Pick up a rag.
Right.
You
got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Yeah, exactly. But there's going to be accountability and responsibility involved with that too. And everyone's going to know their schedule of when they're working. But the best part about that is that if somebody makes your drink the perfect way, you can follow this online and even through this social media platform that's aligned with our social media platform if they desire, they want to do that. And then you can say, okay, well, I see Lydia's working today. Well, I'm gonna go over to Lydia instead of, maybe another barista that might not do it exactly the way that Lydia does it,
Right.
Just like, I was in the alcohol beverage industry for 20 plus years, which I kind of turned back on, and I won't go into that. But I was doing that with building brands. And I saw that most people would follow their bartender or be there when a bartender would make a certain type of drink because they made it their way.
Right.
And they had that specialty skill to do it.
They didn't have to retrain somebody to make their drink just like they want it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
So this is a kind of a new format that hasn't really been created for a cafe level that combines the authenticity of an actual person as a barista, instead of it being a brand and saying, hey, we're going to do this exactly the same way every time, cookie cutter. That's not this business.
Right.
Yeah.
I got that.
And we're located, just to let you know, 1208 Perrellville Road. This is in a parking lot area of the Runkin Pratt Strip Mall, which is Cavaliers Corner, very close to the high school that's there, across from the Tractor Supply place, and also near Monkey Joe's, if everyone knows Monkey Joe's.
Yeah, you've got Monkey Joe's, and then Corner Burger used to be where the cafe is, right? And then they moved into the permanent location, like up the retail spot up there.
Correct.
And so it's right there. So it's nice and easy to find.
One big thing, though, you're going to be able to spot it for sure because it has Starry Night, Vincent Van Gogh Starry Night, and sunflowers all over this food and beverage trailer. 16 foot wide, 16 foot long. And it's going to have picnic tables out there with some umbrellas, and it'll be a cool hangout social hub. That's what we're looking to do. As winter season comes around, though, we won't have the courtyard open. I know we're kind of have a light start for about 6 weeks of people being able to hang out in certain hours and such. But no matter what, we're still going to be open during the winter months for the 3 months of December, January, and February, where people can then get their delivery to their car as they sit in a nice heated car and such.
Right.
What grand opening is when?
October 15th, and that's 5 to 8. We're giving out some free coffee, free tea. We'll have some light bite, dessert bites and such, and we'll try to accommodate as many people that show up as possible. But we're also going to have Chris Hammock, who is a local favorite artist, vocalist, guitarist. He's going to be playing from 5 to 8.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. So a little ambiance, art, and coffee.
You
So-
better come down.
Yeah, definitely. So we ask every podcast guest that comes on 2 questions. So one is, how long have you been part of the Central Virginia Business Coalition? I know it hasn't been long.
Okay.
How
Yeah.
long has it been?
It's it's that new. I mean,
Yeah.
we just literally signed up.
Yeah, like just last week or?
It was like about a week.
Yeah, because I think I actually came in the office when Heather was talking to you and getting everything finalized. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I knew a little bit about you from that before coming on the podcast. So,
Great.
but that was good. Yeah, so newer member, but even though you haven't been part of it very long, what do you think is the greatest benefit of being part of the CVABC?
I mean, again, the people.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line, is that Heather is an amazing person. Now that I'm meeting an amazing person. I want to connect. I want to keep connecting and building relationships. So I think that your coalition is all about building relationships, helping each other out, being good to your neighbor, and whether it's from a business sense or a residential sense, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, I think over the past 2 weeks, I've met with probably like 6 different members of the CVABC, not counting the podcast, but like doing business with them and different things like that and asking advice and working with them. So it's great to have that to fall back. And that's just in the last 2 weeks, right? So over the years, I can tell you how many times I had a question and was able to go to somebody and say, hey, what do I do for this? And being able to give me a different perspective, because it's all sorts of different businesses in the CVABC, right? So we've got, everything from coffees to cremation. So it's a terrible joke, but we've got funeral homes. We've got got all sorts of things, healthcare, a lot of different nonprofits and things like that. And it's great to be able to build a community.
Variety is the spice of life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you have that. You have so many businesses that have their own hook, their own type of category, that there's a belonging there, right? And everybody needs to have that belonging. And it's great to have all pieces to the puzzle. And really, our town, our community, this coalition is literally a finished puzzle with loads of pieces in it. And I think that you really put them all together. And if everyone's really helping each other out and collaborating, and that's the idea, I think, that I want to see a movement of collaboration between communities, between farm to table. That's another subject we can get into at another time, but farm to table is another thing. But all the idea is getting businesses to work together to also be able to thrive off each other.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys do, I think, the best.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, it's been a great episode. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you to Emma for being our producer over there and doing a great job and keeping us on track with everything. So if you need more information about the Central Virginia Business Coalition, you can always go check out more information, events, and even a member directory over at cvabc.org. Have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday.